Everybody has been talking about the red heifer sacrifice in Jerusalem and its prophetic implications. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. But before I do that, my name is Greg Sarita. I make Christian videos discussing Bible prophecy, Bible questions answered, and Bible doctrine, among other things. So if you'd like to learn more about the Bible, make sure to subscribe to my channel and click the bell so you get notified of my future uploads. Supposedly, an altar is being prepared for the red heifer sacrifice. An online post entitled "Massive Altar Prepared for Red Heifer Sacrifice Ritual in Jerusalem" by freepresskashmir.news states, recent reports indicate the construction of a massive altar in Israel, purportedly in anticipation of the forthcoming sacrifice, an indication of the seriousness with which the endeavor is being pursued. Why this is important to some Jews and many evangelical Christians is because the red heifer sacrifice is necessary for temple services to begin in the third temple, which Orthodox Jews believe is a prerequisite for the appearance of the Messiah, and evangelical Christians believe the rapture will take place before the rebuilding of the third temple. Now, the reason why a red heifer needs to be sacrificed before temple services begin is because its ashes mixed with water are necessary for purification purposes. An online post entitled "The Red Heifer and the Third Temple in End Time Prophecy" by freemessianicbible.com explains, according to the Temple Institute, the organization dedicated to preparing for the construction of the third temple in Jerusalem, these cleansing waters are necessary to ritually purify the Temple Mount area, the sacred vessels, and the entire Levitical priesthood that are all being prepared for service today. And this actually goes all the way back to a mandate from God in Numbers chapter 19, verses 1 through 22. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's kind of long, but here's a couple of excerpts. Verses 1 through 3 say, "Now the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, This is the ordinance of the law which the Lord has commanded, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, that they bring you a red heifer, without blemish, in which there is no defect, and on which a yoke has never come. You shall give it to Eleazar the priest, that he may take it outside the camp, and it shall be slaughtered before him." And verse 9 tells us, "Then a man who is clean shall gather up the ashes of the heifer and store them outside the camp, in a clean place, and they shall be kept for the congregation of the children of Israel, for the water of purification. It is for purifying from sin." Red heifer sacrifices are a very rare event. Since the time of Moses, only 9 red heifers have been sacrificed, and those red heifers have to be perfect, without any blemish, and all their hairs have to be red. If even one blemish is found, or one hair that is a different color, they become disqualified. And this actually happened recently. Initially, 5 red heifers were transported from the state of Texas to the land of Israel in September of 2022, and since then, one of them has been disqualified for the presence of 2 black hairs. And so it looks like Israel is getting close to rebuilding the third temple. Almost everything is in place. They have the heifers, they're building the altar, Jewish priests named the Kohanim are being trained to perform temple services, and temple utensils have been prepared. The only thing missing is the third temple. And that's the biggest challenge of all, because the site where the Jews want to build the third temple is on the Temple Mount, which is also a holy site for the Muslims. That's where the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque are located. According to Islamic tradition, the location of the Dome of the Rock is believed to be where the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven on a magical horse with wings. In order for the third temple to be built on the Temple Mount, the Dome of the Rock would have to be demolished, which would lead to a major Arab-Israeli war in the Middle East. So I don't really see that happening. To put it into perspective, the red heifers is one of the reasons Hamas attacked Israel on October the 7th of last year. An online post entitled "What These Red Cows from Texas Have to Do with War and Peace in the Middle East" by CBSNews.com states, when Hamas spokesman Abu Ubaidah began a speech marking the 100th day of the war in Gaza, one confounding yet eye-opening proclamation escaped the headlines. Listing the motives for the Palestinian militant group's October 7th massacre in Israel, he accused the Jews of bringing red cows to the Holy Land. That's because they know the Jews' intention to use the red heifers to inaugurate the Third Temple. That was over some cows. Imagine how the Arab world would react if Jews tried destroying the Dome of the Rock. That could lead to World War III. So personally, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think the Third Temple is going to be rebuilt. Now, I know some of you may be saying, doesn't the Bible predict the rebuilding of the Third Temple and that the Antichrist will take a seat there? Not really. Allow me to explain. One of the verses that is often pointed to in support of the rebuilding of the Third Temple is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 3 through 4, which says, "Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God." The man of sin is another name for the Antichrist, and it says that he will take his seat in the temple of God, exalting himself above God. That's where evangelical Christians get the idea that a third temple will be rebuilt and then the Antichrist will appear and make his throne there. But what if I told you the word temple has another meaning here? That it's not talking about a physical building, rather, it's talking about the Christian church. For example, the Apostle Paul wrote in Ephesians chapter 2, verses 19 through 22, "Now therefore, you are no longer strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and members of the household of God." He's talking to Gentile converts. Notice what he says next. "Having been built on the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Jesus Christ himself being the chief cornerstone, in whom the whole building, being fitted together, grows into a holy temple in the Lord, in whom you also are being built together for a dwelling place of God in the Spirit." Paul called the Ephesian church a holy temple in the Lord. And to the Corinthians, Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16, "Do you not know that you are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwells in you?" So the temple of God is the church of God. And the Antichrist is not some sinister individual that is going to appear at the end of time. The Antichrist is already here. I'm going to get straight to the point. The Antichrist is the papacy, the leadership of the Roman Catholic Church. The papacy equates itself and even exalts itself above God. For example, here is a picture of the Pope sitting enthroned between two cherubim. This is how God is described in Isaiah chapter 37, verse 16, stating, "O Lord of hosts, God of Israel, the one who dwells between the cherubim, you are God, you alone. Of all the kingdoms of the earth, you have made heaven and earth." Not only that, one of the titles of the Pope is Holy Father, which is a title that belongs to God. This is what Jesus called the Father when he prayed to him in John chapter 17, verse 11, stating, "Now I am no longer in the world, but these are in the world, and I come to you, Holy Father. Keep through your name those whom you have given me, that they may be one as we are." And this is not some new teaching. This is a traditional Protestant doctrine. The Protestant reformers were unanimous in identifying the papacy as the Antichrist. For example, Martin Luther, who is credited as being the founder of the Protestant Reformation and the Lutheran Church, wrote, "For who is the man of sin and the son of perdition, but he who by his teaching and his ordinances increases the sin and perdition of souls in the church, while he yet sits in the church as if he were God." All these conditions have now, for many ages, been fulfilled by the papal tyranny. John Calvin, a leader of the Protestant Reformation in Switzerland and the founder of Calvinism, had this to say: "Though it be admitted that Rome was once the mother of all churches, yet from the time when it began to be the seat of Antichrist, it has ceased to be what it was before." And Thomas Cranmer, an English reformer and the Archbishop of Canterbury, stated, "Whereof it followeth Rome to be the seat of Antichrist, and the Pope to be very Antichrist himself. I can prove the same by many other scriptures, old writers, and strong reasons." Unfortunately, most Protestant churches today have abandoned this truth in place of a prophetic system of interpretation called futurism, which originated with a Jesuit named Francisco Ribera. Ribera taught that many prophecies in the book of Revelation, including the rise of the Antichrist, would take place in the future, shifting the focus away from the papacy as the Antichrist. You can learn more about this by reading the book End Time Delusions: The Rapture, the Antichrist, Israel, and the End of the World by Steve Wohlberg. This is one of my favorite books about Bible prophecy. You can get it on Kindle, hardcover, or paperback. Click on the link in the video description to order your copy today. Many Jews and evangelicals see the red heifers and other preparations being made in Israel as a step toward rebuilding the third temple. This is significant to them because some of their prophecies revolve around the rebuilding of the third temple. For the Jews, it's the arrival of the Messiah, and for evangelicals, they believe they will be raptured to heaven. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. In order for the third temple to be rebuilt, the Dome of the Rock would have to be demolished, and that would lead to a major war in the Middle East, maybe even World War III. Even though the rebuilding of the third temple may not need to happen before Jesus returns, there still are some other prophetic events the Bible tells us need to happen. Discover what they are by clicking on the screen to watch my video entitled 10 End-Time Events That Need to Happen Before Jesus Returns. Also, please like and share this video to help spread God's Word. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.